A house is made of wood and stone, but only love can make a home. Welcome to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, helping you make your home into one you'll love even more. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Haley, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Dan.
Happy Saturday to everybody who is watching online. It's not live, don't worry, but we are recording, video recording, the show for posterity.
We would like to start posting the podcast on YouTube and when we can do video.
Yes, a video version of the podcast.
Yeah.
Does it get better than that?
Probably not.
Can't imagine. But it's something we're trying, and it's a little disconcerting because there's cameras pointed at our faces. It's just you and I, though. At least there's no camera people here.
No, that would be much worse.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to what we've got going today. We're going to be talking about a weird kitchen appliance that potentially could save you a ton of time in the kitchen and help you make the best food you've ever made.
Yes, that's the key.
We've got somebody we'll be interviewing, Peter Ogle. He works at RepcoLite. You've heard him on the show before. He's a man of... Oh, yeah, he mans the chat, yes. But he's a man of many passions, and one of those passions is the Sous Vide, and he's going to talk about that and why you might want one. That's coming up next. We'll also be giving away some gift certificates at the end of the show. $50 gift certificate to a listener and a friend of that listener. We'll tell you how to get entered into that coming up. But right now, let's talk about, we've only got 4.5 minutes. Now we've got 3 minutes.
Gotta go quick.
Yeah, we got to go quick. But I want to talk a bit about a very unique product, a very strange product that we've got on the shelves in the stores at RepcoLite. It's something that you probably walk by if you're in the stores and don't even look twice at it.
Well, you might if you notice the label. That's the best thing about this product, in my opinion. It does a lot of things and it's really cool, but the label is my favorite thing.
Well, right. It's very interesting. It's a little guy...
He's
pretty buff.
Got his muscle shirt on, and it looks like he's a big weightlifter, and he's
some kind of tights,
holding up the Durhams at the top of the label. The colors are good, everything about it.
It's an 80-year-old product. It's super old. I don't think they've changed the label since that. That's probably Grandpa Durham right there. Posing in the gym for that. But it's rock hard water putty, it's called. It's a powder, a gypsum powder, basically. You add water to it, obviously, and you can use it as a wood filler.
Right.
In all kinds of situations. And that's just one aspect of its use. Right. It can form, when it dries, it's super hard. You might even say rock hard. And if, in fact, that's what they clued right into. They put it on the label.
They knew what they were talking about.
Right. It can be screwed into. It can be drilled into. It
carved.
Can be cut on a saw, carved, all of those different things. Like I said, you got a knot in the wood. You want to lock that down, or you want to replace that, fill that hole, cracks in wood.
Repairing things.
Oh, man. It's very inexpensive. It's a powder form, so it's always ready to go, unless you pour water in ahead of time. Then it's only going to be good for a few more minutes. But if you leave it in its normal container, the way it's meant to be stored, you know what? I didn't even have the lid on mine, and it was still ready to go after 3 years of sitting on a shelf without a lid on it.
Well, it is powder.
It is powder. It's perfect for that. And I love that aspect of it because normally when I go to get wood fillers, they're already dried up.
Yes, they're always dried out.
So why did I need this stuff? What did I use it for? A very unique situation. And I think it just shows the width or the
range,
breadth. Yeah. The range, that's what I meant to say, of the product. And I had been looking at a picture in an antique mall for probably about 6 months, and I didn't get it because the picture frame, it was really old, but it was in bad shape. It had a couple of areas that were probably about a silver dollar size that an intricate carving had come completely off.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Right. I could maybe put some color on it to blend it together, but it wasn't going to be perfect. Well, finally, it's a great price. I liked it. I've seen it so many times. I'm going to buy it and see once if I can just paint over that area. I sell paint after all.
Why
I can probably hide it. Well, I got home and I remembered Durham's water putty, and I know it can be shaped and sculpted. And I thought, what if I mix it out, put it onto there? It bonds really well.
Right.
Once it starts to set up, maybe I can carve these little oak leaves into it. And
it's a really good idea.
I pretty much did. It's not perfect, what I accomplished.
What I saw in the picture was really impressive.
It was really impressive because part of it was just a tremendous color match. I happened to have the right paints at home that together made the match work. But even if I couldn't have, I could have painted the whole thing one more time a perfectly solid color.
Exactly.
Very strange, very interesting use of the product. It can be used for so many different things. But if you see it sitting on the shelf, just snag one. You'll find so many different uses for it. And like I said, it doesn't go bad, inexpensive. Durham's water putty.
Something to have for sure.
Yeah, just even if it's just for the little muscle man on the label.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking the Sous Vide with Peter Ogle, and we're going to make you really hungry. Yes. That's all coming up next. Stay tuned.
Helping you turn your house into your dream home. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, presented by Benjamin Moore on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and Haley and I are in the studio with RepcoLite's own Peter Ogle. Peter, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, people may recognize Peter. You've been on the show before, and we've talked about your work, your fine work, on the RepcoLite website chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's not what we're going to do today. We've got you here for an unusual reason.
Yes.
And we're going to get to that. But first, Peter, I'm going to tell you a little story about what this whole segment's going to be exactly like. We were out of garbage bags the other day at my house, and it's not grocery day, so we got to get by. But we had a lot of stuff. And the garbage bag was already full. So we did a lot of packing and a lot of pushing down and piling on and packing in because we had a whole lot of stuff to fit into this one little bag. That's what this segment is. There's a whole lot of stuff that Peter's going to want to cover. But I have no idea how we're going to cram it into this little bag that we've got to work with. But we're going to do our best. What we're going to talk about is something I don't even know if I can pronounce. A sous vide?
Yeah, sous vide.
Not an SUV.
No.
Nope, not an SUV. The gas is too expensive to even talk about SUVs right now.
That's right.
No.
This is electric.
This is electric. So it's a sous vide. It's something for the kitchen. Well, what do we even say, Haley? First off, Peter prepared us a meal out of this.
Right. I think we need to start with that. Peter was so enthusiastic about this little machine that he decided he was going to prepare a meal for us, a gourmet meal in the middle of the day. Brought it, set it up, cooked it all, and served us lunch. And it was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And Peter, we gave you a lot of compliments. And I almost got to the point where I told you, because you were wondering if we were being genuine.
Yeah.
You kind of made that joke.
I was kind of concerned. You seemed very skeptical when I told you about this.
Well, I was very skeptical, and we'll get to that, but I almost licked the plate clean.
Yeah.
It was that good. So, but since I've got class, and I was surrounded by people that wouldn't have been comfortable with that.
See, that's what it really was.
If I had been at home, been all over that. It was really good. Okay, the sous vide. Explain what it is, and then we'll just kind of try to work our way around this and cram all this stuff into this bag.
So sous vide is actually a word that just means cooked in water, which doesn't sound very appealing.
No, it does not.
The magic happens with the vacuum sealer. So that's what I'll start with. If you have a vacuum sealer and you have a desire to eat meat, I'm sure you've sealed your meat for the week.
Sure.
You can get food safe bags, and you do that, and you stick it in this sous vide, and it goes into the water, and the water tempers what's essentially an oven. And so it cooks at a very, very precise temperature inside the bag, sealing all your flavors, all the steak juice, your burgers, whatever it is, all together. So you get the richest, most flavorful version of whatever food you're making.
Yes. I think that's the best part of it, in my opinion. I was really skeptical about the whole bag thing and the water.
Yeah, it looks weird.
The time is a big thing for me, but the flavor was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you felt that way, because the other thing that came out of there were mashed potatoes. And so it was two pieces of food really in one machine. And that's one of the things that's wonderful is it keeps your food to temperature. So no matter how many things you're trying to balance, and when you're in a kitchen, it can get overwhelming very easily. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, like myself included, want, when they want dinner on the table, they want everything all at once. They don't like having to constantly go back to the kitchen because something's almost done cooking, something's overcooking.
That's why you have kids, Peter. Somebody go check the oven. Is that thing in there done?
Yeah.
If it is, bring it out, but don't burn yourself.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's a parenting tip for you. You may write that down somewhere.
Well, I saw food in the oven, but now I see charcoal, Dad. What do I do?
Well, then you just bail. Okay, so it will prepare a number of different aspects of your meal all at once. You can do all of that. Help people understand, visually what it is. It's radio. We can't just put up a picture while we're talking.
Sure.
It looks almost like a squared off crock pot to some extent.
It does. That is, I think, the best way you could have described it is it does look like a squared crock pot. It is like a crock pot that is an oven that you fill with water. And you put your bags of food that you've prepped into the sous vide. If you're doing mashed potatoes, you can actually just put your cubed potatoes into the sous vide with your cream, your butter.
In the vacuum sealed bags.
In the vacuum sealed bags. And then when it's done, you actually mash it up right in the bag. Okay. And that actually will save you the work of having to mash and clean up a pot and everything else.
Okay, so the vacuum sealer is separate. That is not sold with the
That's correct.
Sous vide.
Yes.
Right, so you got to have that. And you've got, let's just start with that, take a step back. Huge recommendations. You were going on and on. I had to tune you out eventually because I had things to do. But all the different things that you could do with just a vacuum sealer.
Yeah. Whatever you have that you want to keep dry and preserved, vacuum sealers are amazing. I mean, I have a friend who ships books to various places and they've gotten soaked, so he got a vacuum sealer. He seals the books. Nobody ever complains about getting damaged books or wet books. I've saved ammo if you have anything like that can get corroded. Sealing it up when you're storing something because you're not going to use it for a while. It's a great source for that.
You even talked about packing for vacation.
Yeah, that too. Clothing. So if you're camping, if you're a big camper and you want to be able to throw your clothes in your backpack, but you don't know when you're going to get rain or sand, you might be concerned about ticks getting in your clothing.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's not forget
about
vacuum
seal Dan.
Yeah.
I'm going to vacuum seal my underpants and they will be sand and tick free.
They will.
It'll be amazing. And it'll form them into a little tight, small package that I can drop in my suitcase. That's great, isn't it?
It is.
That makes me laugh.
Spare
That's a
undies.
funny concept. Yeah.
No, it's smart though.
It is smart. Okay, so the vacuum sealer.
Yes.
A lot of other uses.
Yes.
And I'm sure people can get creative and come up with more. So that's got to be purchased separately. The sous vide,
yes.
All these foods that you're dropping into there need to be in these vacuum sealed pouches.
Yes, for the most part.
Okay.
The only exception would be eggs because they're kind of their own sealed thing.
Sure. That's the kind of thing
perfect food. It comes in its own packaging.
Yeah, I would still vacuum seal that just because I'm a completionist, Everything else is vacuum sealed. The eggs are going to be
Here's your poached
sealed.
eggs with some shell on the side.
Yeah. We're in the studio with Peter Ogle from RepcoLite, not talking about paint. We're talking about food prep, an actual appliance in the kitchen, a sous vide. It's something that Peter's got. And you've made a little bit of an argument that you just get amazing flavors out of your food, right? And it's controlling the temperature to which you cook them. You're not overcooking your meat anymore. Walk us through the process. So you throw it into the pot or into the sous vide. You pull it out of the little bag.
Yes, you want to. Yeah. So after you get your steak or your fish or whatever it is, it's not going to look good. It does not look appealing.
No, it doesn't. I saw that.
Yeah.
I was a little grossed out.
It looks like it's raw and it's changed color.
Now, it could be eaten at that point.
Yes.
It's perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah. It's completely safe and it would actually taste quite good.
So if you eat with blindfolds.
Yeah, if you eat with blindfolds, you'll be fine. Okay. It won't have, though, that crust on the outside. That's really appealing. You bite into it and you get through the crust and then you get into the juicy, wonderful meat. It won't have that. So the way you go about that is you take it out and you set it on a towel or paper towels and you pet it dry, which sounds very weird.
It really does sound weird,
really
Peter.
Struggled with this part.
Well, when he told me he had to pat the meat dry, I kept thinking the Ziploc, the bag that you threw it into the sous vide with, the sous vide, that's wet and that's a problem. Yeah. And no, you actually pat the meat dry, and you do that because
you want to put a sear on it, that nice sear, and if you have the water that's on it, not from the actual sous vide, but from the juices of the food, it will never get a sear. It will actually just kind of turn gray. If you're cooking beef, and so you won't get that nice char flavor. It won't look much better. It will look slightly better, but not really. So you pat it dry, and that gets you the crust. And then if you want to do something that I'm a fan of, like basting it, where you put in a little bit of butter and you throw some butter on it, so the crust really absorbs some of that flavor. That's how you can really pack the flavor in.
So you pull it out of the sous vide, pull it out of its little vacuum sealed bag, pat it dry, and then you throw it on a frying pan.
Yep, and you want like a medium high heat.
I only do high heat, Peter, because I like to move fast.
Oh, then you would be in luck.
I do it.
You would
Don't
actually
laugh
be
at
in
me,
luck.
Haley.
Yeah, no, in this case, you would actually be in luck. You'd be doing the ideal thing because you don't.
I only cook on high.
I don't know why there's all those other places on that aisle.
Yeah.
I go straight to high.
Yeah.
We're done in a few minutes, or we're getting food out. It's one or the other.
Yeah, so for somebody like you, then in particular, that's perfect because you don't want to cook it. It's already cooked. You just want that nice look.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit of flavor from it. So for you, yes, that's a win.
Now, this is not an inexpensive item. And so I struggled with how do we bring this to people because I like to think with my wallet. And I assume that any topic that's worth hearing is a topic that I could afford to get involved in. I don't know if I could with this or if I would. It's about $400 for the item that you've got.
Yes, I chose. Now, I'm not like you. I simply like things to be the best that they can. So I'll sacrifice my wallet.
I like it. I like it.
All right, that's good. So you sacrifice the money to get the food that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, the tool, really. I'm just, I'm obsessed about the tool. The food quality, though, for somebody like you, you can still get that good food quality with a cheaper version of it.
Okay. And those cheaper versions will go down to, just give me a ballpark range.
About $130.
Okay, so that can be your buy-in. It's a different kind of a look, but it will do the same type of thing. And we'll put some links in the show notes so you can check that out. We've established the price. We've established that you absolutely love it. And the food that you're getting out of it, the quality of the food is top tier. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the prep and all of that. Is it tons more work, less work? It kind of feels like it's more work to me.
You know, it depends on who you are. Really, and how you like your food. So for me, I don't mind things being easier, but I like them to be just as good or better if they are going to be easier. So for some people, what's acceptable is like a TV microwave dinner. I don't personally like that. But if you do, this is going to be more work for you.
Sure.
If you do cook your own meals, though, this is going to be less work for you.
Will it, though?
Yes, because if you have meat, right,
Yeah,
for example, this is just our primary example here. It's the easiest example to use. And you're prepping it, right? You take your meat out, you prep it, and then you have to cook it in the pan. You watch what you're cooking in the pan. You have to watch what you're cooking as a side. Probably, one or two sides is fairly normal for a dinner. And so you're having to manage all these different sides.
Sure.
And your timing has to be good. Otherwise, like we talked about earlier, your dinner is going to be served at different times. Yeah. So the idea of sitting down either even by yourself or as a family is just kind of out the window because you're still dealing with the kitchen and not each other.
Sometimes that's preferable, Peter.
I see why you're skeptical now.
No. I completely get what you're saying with the stress level because that part can really wreck my meal, not because the food's bad, but because I am so amped up.
It actually
it's finally ready.
Jordan's meal for us. I don't mind my stress level. I'm just going. But he walks into the kitchen and it stresses him out because I'm stressed about it. Even though I don't feel that necessarily when I'm trying to manage the timing of everything, he reads that as I'm upset.
Oh, yeah.
And so now
I am upset.
I have the same thing when I work in the kitchen with my wife. She also gives me that look like, hey, are you okay? And it's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just very focused.
Yes, exactly.
So I can see where this would help with that. You get all of these things together at once.
But it gets better.
Oh.
Yeah, it does. It gets
okay. So wait a minute. That's like super infomercially. I speak for a living, but just wait. It gets better. Yeah. And Peter, our bag is entirely full. I happen to have a second bag, so we're gonna fill that other bag, but we're gonna have to take a break and play some commercials. Can you wait with us over the break?
I'll wait with you.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Peter Ogle more about this sous vide, and I'm going to make you talk about some meal prep, some meals that you're going to recommend to people out there. All right? We'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and we are still in the studio with Peter Ogle from RepcoLite. Peter just took a big slug of water
Hanging in there, Dan.
Hanging in there. Yeah. Glad you hung out with us. We're talking about something very strange. Peter runs the chat on our website, and normally he's here talking about paint questions and all kinds of stuff where he's answering customers' concerns or whoever knows what they might ask. And you've had some crazy, very interesting questions that have led you down all kinds of interesting rabbit trails. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about food prep, of all things.
Yes.
And Peter turns out to be a food connoisseur.
He's a sous vide chef.
Right. We're talking about an appliance called a Sous Vide. Hopefully you looked it up over the break. It's spelled it's pronounced Sous Vide, which is what I've been saying. Now, it's spelled S-O-U...
VDE, yeah.
VDE?
Yeah. Not
VIDE?
I don't believe so. I'm not the world's best speller, but and when it's French, it gets all the worse. But
yeah. So something like that.
VIDE. Yeah.
Oh, so there is an I in there.
Yeah. VIDE.
All right, Peter, you are a bad speller.
I am a terrible speller.
We'll get you an award of some sort later. So anyway, we're talking about that, and it's an appliance that Peter is really making the case it's going to give you the best flavored food.
Yes.
That you've had probably ever. That's your argument. This is good stuff.
It really locks it in.
Locks in the flavor. Of course, there's a vacuum sealer that you have to get separately that works in conjunction with this. But not only will it give you the best food, you're arguing that it will ease the whole prep process.
Yes.
And Haley and I aren't sure because we watched you prepare a meal for us. It was a wonderful meal. Strip steaks and like
mashed
New York
potatoes.
strip. Oh, yeah, really good.
Really good.
But it looked like a lot of work yet. So but you're making the case that it's easier, and you talked about how you can prepare multiple courses of your meal all at once, which is a real big saver. So, and then I cut you off.
Yeah, so let's think about this since you brought this up, like when you were watching me do the work that I was.
Well,
right?
I was participating. I just said I was watching you do the work.
Okay, you are observing very carefully.
Yeah, energetically.
Managing.
Yeah, energetically.
Managing. I was managing the process.
Go. Yeah, you were managing the process. So when you really boil it down, you had homemade potatoes. Right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Homemade mashed potatoes. You had a perfectly cooked steak.
Yeah.
Right? So already you're kind of at the best as far as whatever you can produce as a person, right? Myself.
For our lunch, that's the best lunch we've ever had.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Because all I did, really, when you think about it, is just pull a couple of bags out, pat dry some meat, and sear it on one side and the other, and then serve it.
But what about the prep work to get it into the bags? How big a process was that?
So here's my thing is when we left off, we were talking about, you pull your beef out.
And the timing of everything.
Yeah, and you do this prep. You put your seasonings on it, and then you have all the stuff to manage. You still have to put it in a pan. So you have to cook it very carefully, and you still have to put it on the plate. The only thing this adds to that is instead of doing that, you put it in a bag and seal it. That's it.
And you can do that how early ahead of time?
As far ahead of time as you want. And this is where my argument really starts to shine for this is easier.
Okay.
So if you are somebody who is a human, you eat all week long, right? You don't just eat one day.
If I'm somebody who eats humans all week long?
Oh,
Is that what he was saying?
No,
Did I miss something?
I would assume you're a human being, right? You're not.
Yes.
You're not a robot under all
I'm
that,
a human being.
Okay, so
although he drinks very little water, and he will skip breakfast and lunch, so he's
borderline,
bordering on alien.
Whenever I eat, it's not human. That's the thing I want to stress. So if I'm a
you don't
human,
like long pig,
and if I eat a lot,
if you are somebody who does eat not even a lot, but at least have dinner throughout the week,
sure, yeah, I've been known.
You're going to have to make dinner every night unless you're eating out at restaurants.
Nope.
Now you want to talk about expense. Restaurants, that's expensive.
Oh yeah, I've got kids, Peter. I know about this.
Oh, I bet you do. I mean, it's just me and one other person, and I don't even like paying for that. It's like $50 every time you go out. And this, though, what you do is you just prep it all ahead of time. So one sitting. And if I, for example, have steak and I will get a lot of it and I will portion it out how I want.
Right.
And that's another nice thing because if you get steak regularly for yourself and like 2 other people, you usually get different sizes. That becomes harder to cook. It gets harder to deal with then. With this, no matter how thick it is or how awkward it is, it will cook it evenly. But better yet, if you're doing it yourself, you can portion out even better than what the butcher will do for you. So you do all this, right? You get your steak and your chicken, whatever you're eating throughout the week, and you just seal it all. You seal it all ahead of time.
And season it, do whatever I'm going to do to it.
You add
Throw
your
it in the little Ziploc or the little vacuum sealer bag.
Yeah, the BPA-free, food-safe bags. It seals it. You put it in your meat drawer. And then
in the fridge.
Yeah, unless
just in case your meat drawer is where the bread is.
Yeah, unless you have an ice box or something. I don't know anybody who does that anymore though.
No, probably not. Probably not big on the meat drawer, under the counter either. So you only do that one time. So anyway, you throw it in the meat drawer.
So let's say you have a couple pieces of steak planned out throughout the night or throughout the week, and you have your hopefully not throughout the night. Yeah, you'd be overdoing it.
To come back
Second
to that.
dinner. Have a third dinner now.
Yeah. So let's say you're going to have steak and then chicken and then steak and then fish throughout your week, right?
Sure.
So you put your steaks in there, right? And you put your chicken in, you put your fish in. Throughout the week, you just pull it out, you set your sous vide to temperature, and you drop it in and forget it.
And how long does it take to get to where you want it to be?
Most of the time, it's 2 hours. So if you get home, 4 or 5 o'clock, and you're planning on eating 6, 7 o'clock, it will be ready by then. And the nice thing about that is, even though with like steak as our example, it takes 2 hours to cook, you have anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. So if it goes over, it's not going to overcook.
Okay, and I really like that. That part's interesting, and you were saying it doesn't matter if some of the pieces in there are thinner and some are thicker?
That's correct.
It's going to somehow magically make them all okay?
The reason for the water, right? And
what water?
In the sous vide, right?
Gotcha.
The reason for this is because it actually acts as tempering, sort of a catalyst, if you would.
Like a Haley to me.
I would say that's a fair analogy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You need a little bit of ease to all that go.
Exactly.
That high temp cooking.
So somehow the water tempers and
so instead of because normally you have metal cooking directly into your food, one way or another, right? Yep. Instead, what this is metal heating up water, and it heats it up to within a degree of precision.
And then it just keeps it consistent.
Yeah, it keeps it so consistent, it will cook it to a medium rare, whatever you like, and it will hold it at that cooked temperature.
So it doesn't continue to cook?
Yeah, you will never overcook it. Now, if you go over that time, it will change the texture, and it can ruin the texture of the food.
Okay.
But it will never overcook meat.
That's very cool.
That part's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of value to it. You love it.
I do. So getting back, though, to what you asked me about the scheduling ahead of time, right? Now, here's where it gets even cooler. So you have all your meat prepped for the week, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I made you guys mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. There's mashed potatoes left over. What happens to those? Well, I don't like eating mashed potatoes with fish, for example, right? You might be able to get away with it with chicken, but let's say you wanted to keep it a couple of days. Well, because it's in a bag and you've sealed it. Vacuum sealed it. It will stay good for those extra couple of days and be just as good as when you had it the first time. So the next time you go to do your steak, you once again just pull out the same mashed potatoes, you pull out the same bag of steak you prepped earlier in the week, drop it in the machine, boom. There's your main course and your side, no prep.
Could you freeze the mashed potatoes? Could you
I don't see why
throw that
not.
bag in the freezer and then next week when I have steak again, then cook it?
Yeah, nothing would be wrong with that. I don't know what it would do to the texture, but it would certainly be safe to eat. With beef, if you let beef thaw for 24 hours in your refrigerator, you can actually get away with freezing beef and not have any change in the quality that you experience. Cool. So you can actually, if you are like me and you like to actually even butcher your own meat, I go that far.
Like you have a cow?
I will get a piece of a cow, a whole chunk of a cow, and I will actually break it down myself.
Okay. All right. Well, that's still cool. That's not quite as cool as what I was thinking.
But then I'll freeze it, right? So you have a whole, month's worth of food, and it's cheaper that way. You can often save money if you go to the butcher and you butcher your own meat.
Yeah.
And you'll get better meat for less money, and it will last you for months.
And now it's already portioned out, and you just throw it in the sous vide.
Yes.
And the sous vide, is it a complicated thing to run? Can my children run it if I say, look, get it going?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little late and I don't want to eat at 7. I want to have first dinner right at 5. So by second dinner at 7, we're ready. But I can get them doing it? It's not complicated?
It's very easy. Really, there's only 2 buttons you have to keep track of, 2 to 3. The power button, which everybody should see, how
that's
to
a given.
Yeah, start at that. You have a plus and minus sign, and that's your temperature. and then you have a play button, and that starts the
CD player.
That starts the sous vide player.
Okay, so we're going to put a link in the show notes. Bottom line, Peter, I think really what came through most clearly is your passion for the machine and your passion for really good food. And yeah,
easier,
you think it's
cheaper, better.
Yeah, definitely the way to go. Now, prices, we thought they were about $400 for what you've got.
Yeah, if you want the nice one, you can go higher than that. You can go lower than that. There are some models for somebody like you who wants.
What does that mean? Somebody who's cheap?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, I was going to say quite a different trait of yours. Actually.
Oh, what is that trait?
You can actually even go more expensive, and you can get one with Wi-Fi connection, and it will actually turn on for you if you want. So remotely, if money is not an issue for you, and you want it just heated ahead of time.
I like that.
Yeah, by the time you get home, it will be ready for you to.
So it's like a smart thing.
Yeah. Yep, and you can even change the temperature. You can control the whole thing anywhere in the world that you are.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to be close enough to be able to get back to it in time.
I would hope
Anywhere in
so.
the world. Okay.
I'm in Spain. We're starting it now.
Hop on the jet.
All right. So we're going to put a link in the show notes. You've had it for how long? That's always an important thing to me.
I've had mine for about 4 years.
4 years.
Wow.
Still loving it.
Time
Still
tested.
doing what it's supposed to do. You haven't had any problems with it?
No, and the ones that I got come with a 5-year warranty.
All right.
From the factory.
Cool.
All right. Talk to us in a year then, Peter.
All right.
We'll find out how it's held up. Anyway, Sous Vide, Peter gives it 2 big thumbs up and even 2 big toes up. He's waving everything he's got. It's all positive. So, all right. Peter Ogle from RepcoLite. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about alternate insecticides. If you've got bugs, stick around.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and we have a lot of stuff to cram into 7 minutes and 48 seconds, Haley.
We always do this to ourselves.
I know. I don't know why. Well, and we do it to everybody, because now we got to talk a million miles an hour on a Saturday morning.
You're welcome.
But let's get to some of the things that we got to do. We want to talk about some alternative insecticides.
Right.
I don't think I said that right.
Alternative insecticides.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But before we do that, I want to give away some gift certificates. We know everything is expensive right now. Projects become harder to jump into just because we're throwing money into the gas tank. So we want to help a little bit. We're going to try to do this as much as we can throughout the summer. And this week's is going to be a $50 gift certificate to RepcoLite that you will win, but you'll also win, like we did a couple of weeks ago, one for a friend. So what you need to do is email radio@repcolite.com with your name and address, along with the name and address of a friend. Make sure those names and addresses are different.
Yeah, we'll notice.
We'll clue into that and you won't win. But if there's 2 different addresses on there, that's ideal. Send those emails to radio@repcolite.com. You've got till 10 o'clock this morning. And then after 10 o'clock, sometime around there, we'll draw a random winner.
Yep.
And we'll let you know via email, and then we'll get those gift certificates out to you and your friend coming up next week. So radio@repcolite.com, your name and address, a friend's name and address. You could each win a $50 gift certificate. Okay, now let's get to these alternative insecticides. And you came in the other day talking about something your mom is using around the house.
Yeah, diatomaceous earth.
Yeah.
Which we actually use a little bit of that in paint. It's a raw ingredient, and it's used in all kinds of things like toothpaste and cosmetics, pool filters, all kinds of stuff. But it's also used as an insecticide. And what it is fossilized remains of diatoms, which are these little sea organisms. They essentially look like algae. But when they're fossilized, their bodies make this really nice silica that actually dehydrates anything with an exoskeleton.
You did
There we
it.
go.
She's practiced forever.
Diatomaceous earth,
Exoskeleton.
all the words.
You got it once. So it dries them out. Their fossilized remains dries it out. Now, when they're alive, they're actually producing
like 30% of the oxygen that we breathe. That's more than all of the rainforest combined. So pretty
these
cool little guys.
Little diatoms are really rocking it. I wonder what my fossilized remains will kill. Or what good things it will accomplish. I'll never know, but maybe someday science will. But these guys at least have a value. Now,
They do.
Not that I don't. Hate to leave that hanging like that, but we don't have time. How does it work? Now, you said you sprinkle it around the house, right?
Exactly.
Now, first, we should take a step back. There's pool grade diatomaceous earth, and there's food grade.
Right.
Now, the food grade is the one that's, of course, in the toothpaste and stuff like that, and it's what's used to kill bugs and stuff like that.
You get it in like a giant bag. It costs like $16, and it's in a powder form. Usually, it can come with a little applicator so that you have something to kind of distribute the powder around the outside of your house.
And it really gets into the air, so you want to wear a mask.
Definitely wear a mask, because while it is technically human safe because it's food grade, it's in toothpaste and things like that, you don't want to breathe it.
Right.
That's not safe.
Right. It definitely will irritate airways and all of that stuff. So you apply it in this powder form.
Yep.
Or you can apply it wet to minimize all of the dust.
Sure.
Now, the thing is, it's got to be dry in order to be effective.
Yes.
So if you do apply it wet to all kinds of different things. I mean, I've seen people spraying down their plants and stuff where they've got bugs on those leaves and stuff. They'll spray it down with a water mixture. Once it dries, now the bugs that crawl through it, it affects them. If you sprinkle it around the perimeter of your home, like I do with a typical, a regular insecticide from time to time, you sprinkle it around that perimeter, and the bugs that crawl through it on their way to your home to party, they're going to be surprised in about 48 hours when they're on their back with their legs curled up, right?
Yes, and that's the thing with diatomaceous earth, too, is that it does take around 24 hours for it to actually fully kill the bug, because what it does is, as a silica, it's pretty sharp on a microscopic level, and so the bugs get essentially stabbed by this stuff. And that eventually sucks all of the moisture, fats, and oils out of their body. And that's what kills them.
Yeah, it dries them right up, dehydrates the little suckers, and there you go. So all kinds of different bugs. Very interestingly, and everybody needs to tuck this one away in the back of your head for that horrible day that maybe this happens to somebody out there, but it will kill bed bugs as well. So definitely something to tuck away.
It's very effective, though. My mom's been using it, and this is the best year that she's ever had with keeping ants and spiders out of the house. So,
well, it's really cool. We'll put some links in the show notes so you can check it out. Diatomaceous earth. You can buy it online. You can buy it at, I'm sure, garden centers. It's not expensive. A few precautions, but definitely can work. It will have to be reapplied over and over as the season goes, but something to think about. Another one, another insecticide that is something that I ran into because I have ants in the house, and it happens every spring, and then there's a resurgence a couple of times throughout the year, and normally I have taro, that ant killer.
Yes, love taro.
It's like a little honey type stuff. Don't put it on your toast, but it does look like honey. You put it on a little card. I said, don't put it on your toast. That's safe.
Let's not even bring it up.
Well, I said, don't. So you put it on the floor on these little cards by the little trails. The ants eat it. They take it back to the colony, share it with everybody, because ants are nothing if not generous with their own kind.
Yeah.
And we use that against them in this form, and it kills the entire colony in about 48 hours or so. You're done with your ants.
It's really effective.
Well, I was out of that, and I didn't want to go buy more because gas is so expensive. Nobody was going out, so I didn't want to waste my gas. And I thought, I'll look online. Maybe I can find an alternative. Well, I did. I found this borax, and basically what you do is take borax, which is a soap. It's a common cleaning element.
Yeah.
And you mix it with water, you mix it with honey, you mix it with corn syrup, anything like that. You can mix it with peanut butter.
Yeah,
you make a little
sugary that they're going to want to eat.
Right, because the ants aren't going to want to eat the borax.
No.
It's not yummy. It's
That's
soap.
the poison.
Anyway, you mix it with something sweet. The ants eat it just like the taro, take it back, and it kills them. I thought that'll be great. And I thought it's going to be pet safe.
Right, because borax being a detergent, we think
it's kind of a natural element thing, and I thought we'll be fine. Well, no, it turns out it's not pet safe. You still have to be very careful around your pets. Be careful around children. A teaspoon-sized dose, 5 grams, can be lethal for a pet or a child. So seriously, take it safe and use it at your own discretion. I still thought it's a great alternative to taro until I dug into it and realized, borax is the active ingredient in taro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it is a way to make your own taro. We've got links in the show notes to the recipe. Like we mentioned, it's pretty simple. 1 part borax, 3 parts water, honey, something like that. Put it on a little card. Keep it away from pets and children. Goodbye, ants. All right, Haley, that's all the time we've got. We're going to wrap it up. If you want to catch this one again, you can find it online at RepcoLite.com. Get those emails in, radio@RepcoLite.com. I'm Dan Hansen.
And I'm Haley Johnson. Thanks for listening.